Hello lovelies, how are we? Hope everyone's okay. It's Lesley, not quite enough distance vlog, face paint time again. Off to a local festival today, and it's a festival celebrating diversity, so it means for once we're not leading everyone else out. Normally, because we're the biggest group and sort of oldest established, we're normally in the lead. But because diversity is being celebrated today, some of the other groups are taking the lead, which is great. So there's a samba group, there's another group, I don't know how to describe their drumming, but that's ignorance on my part. I don't know what their roots are. But I will try and get some footage for you. Yes, I'm running short of time as ever, and smudging. I'm not safe to be let out, am I? I've just dropped Madam at doggy daycare. Well, doggy overnight care. I'm picking her up on Monday because we've got this today, and I'm going to be out most of the day. And then tomorrow I'm off to London to see a show. It's my eldest sister's birthday on Monday, and we are surprising her. She knows she's going to London to see a show. Well, she may know that by now. My niece was going to tell her today. What she doesn't know is that my other sister and I will also be there. Now, this may delight. We hope so. To look at her face when we first see her. Yeah, so that's tomorrow. And again, that's going to be an all-day thing. We've got a matinee, and obviously got to get there and back and have something to eat and drink and those sorts of things. So that is an all-day thing. Himself is in the Midlands watching cricket again. I've asked him not to buy any yarn if he sees any. I know, but storage is getting to be a bit of an issue. And I am beginning to feel a bit overwhelmed, so I have asked him not to. I know that sounds really kind of ungrateful and ungracious, but I've just got to be sensible on this, really. And yeah, it was getting to be a little bit of an anxiety thing. So no, anxiety is too strong. It was beginning to get a bit much for me. Let's just leave that. So I have asked him not to get any more yarn. At no point has he thought to himself, oh, I'll get her some chocolate instead. You'd think, you know, I mean, he's known me long enough. But anyway, I'm not ungrateful, just ungracious. So our event today, we'll have a little bit of a drum off with the other groups. I think there are 4 different groups altogether, possibly 5. And then there's a bit of a parade, a procession. I'm really hoping that it's not just the drum groups in the procession, because that will be a real cacophony if it is. So, not because anyone plays badly, it's just you don't want to hear 5 different tunes at once. So, oh, the things we do. Well, the things I do. Not everyone has to be so daft. It's all fun. I don't know if you remember the 1980s Flash Gordon film, the one with the Queen soundtrack, but this is my Ming the Merciless look. Or Someone Give Us Mercy look, one of the two. Right, so we're keeping it fairly pared down today in terms of costume, because it's a very hot day and we've got to drum, and, you know, there's no need to make ourselves particularly uncomfortable. So I'm just in my Section 5 t-shirt, my tie skirt, and the latest acquisition, my hosiery. I don't know if you can see, but I'm very pleased with those. It's warm. I've just spent the best part of an hour, actually about an hour, trying to do a second piece for the Paris sweater on the knitting machine, and I have decided to not do that today. I don't know if it's the humidity affecting the yarn, the workings of the machine, or the operator, but I've just had about 12 attempts at getting it right, and even I can take the hint after a while. But hey ho. Hope everyone's okay. So it's Tuesday morning as I'm recording this. At the weekend, Saturday was drumming. And I'll put some sort of odd shots and footage here as I'm talking, but also at the end I will put some footage of the two other groups that were playing. So in the sort of drum circle, which sounds far more profound than it is, there were two other groups, one called Raven, who play a similar style to us, and one called Dende. And actually it's a shame I couldn't record the last bit, but I was drumming at the time, so. But Dende were leading this, and we finished off with all three groups doing a kind of merengue rhythm, which was great fun. So we had that at about 12:30 on Saturday afternoon, and then on the later in the afternoon, so about 3 o'clock, we had a parade around the square where the festival was going on. So that was okay. It was warm, but because it's very close to the sea, and you'll see footage of the water, it did mean there was a nice breeze coming through, so that helped. Sunday was the day out that I didn't mention because I don't think my big sister watches this, but just in case she did, I didn't want to spoil any surprises, because my middle sister had planned a trip to London. All my big sister knew was that her niece was taking her to London for the day. So there were lots of messages between my middle sister and my niece, you know, we're on the train, we're on the tube, come and meet us here. And what my middle sister had planned was for my niece to start taking a selfie with my sister and her, and the two of us would like photobomb it effectively. That didn't quite happen, but no, we could see my niece and my sister, and they were sort of taking a selfie, so my eldest sister was distracted. And then we sort of went, hello. There were tears. There often are with the eldest sister. She is quite lachrymose, so that we'd have been worried if there hadn't been tears, frankly. But yeah, she was very pleased that we were all involved. And then that wasn't the end of the treats, because she wasn't having just a day in London. We were going to a show. My niece has seen Pretty Woman the musical a couple of times already. She saw it when she was on holiday in New York. I think that was not long after it had opened. And she also saw it in London with middle sister last year, August, I think. So they were seeing it for the second and third time. But big sister hadn't seen it, and nor had I. So that was where we went. So we had a nice day. It was a matinee performance. We'd met at sort of midday-ish. Went and got just something to drink, and went and sat down by the embankment for a while. On the embankment rather, so right by the Thames. It was a very warm day. It wasn't the sort of day when you'd really want to wander around too much. We did have a bit of a walk around Covent Garden, which is near there. So a bit of a stroll, and then we went to the theatre, sat in the theatre bar, had a drink there before the show. They had a very early, not a doors open policy, because the theatre wasn't open, the auditorium wasn't open, but the building was, and it was the Savoy Theatre, so it was right next to the Savoy Hotel. So photos of us outside the Savoy. And yes, we went to the bar there and got a nice cold drink. And then when the actual theatre opened, we went in. And in terms of temperature, I know I keep on about the temperature, but it was very warm. Quite often when you're in an air-conditioned building, it feels quite cold. Well, this didn't. So we didn't realise how effective the air conditioning was until we walked outside, and it was like that moment when you step off a plane in a warm holiday resort country and it kind of hits you, the heat. So so yeah, that was good fun. Show was very good. My sister really enjoyed it. More tears, you know. And it's based on Pretty Woman the movie. I said, look, Sind, you know, the moral of this story is become a prostitute if you want to get on in life. But so Saturday evening, so before then, I'd been on the Zoom call with Barbara, Valerie, all the guys. Hello, lovelies. And last month we talked about cow flatulence. There was none of that this time. As Carol said, I should tell you that this month we spoke about porn, sequins and pom-poms. It wasn't actually porn, it was our porn star names, because Aquila was there and she had been roller skating. So we were talking about your roller derby name, and we were wondering if there was a formula, a bit like it would be for your porn star name, which some hadn't heard of, so we went through that. By the way, if you're not familiar, it's your first pet and the name of the street on which you grew up. So I'm Fluffy Highland as a porn star. If there is a porn star called Fluffy Highland, it's not me. Actually, I'm not sure Fluffy was my first pet. Anyway, that doesn't matter. But then Christy, Dr. Christy, Christy's Corner, Barbara's daughter, a fine human being, found a way on her phone to find our roller derby name. Barbara kept coming up as Lugnut, which she wasn't happy with, but then a different formula was found, and we all got our porn star names. I can't remember them all. I know there were a lot of acids as a surname, and I was Evil Crankshaft, which I quite like. I'm going to stick with that. Yeah, so yeah, it was a full weekend, lots of fun stuff. So yesterday, Monday, a quiet day. We were drumming. We had drum practice on the beach last night. We did talk about it last week, but it was quite windy last Monday evening, whereas last night it was very still. So so we practiced on the beach, and himself said he could hear us. He was out walking the dog, and it's got to be a couple of miles probably as the crow flies, 1.5 miles, 2 miles, and he could hear us. So that's why we have to stop exactly at 9 o'clock, because we're outdoors. There are flats and things nearby, so people living nearby, they don't want to hear us all evening. So so yes, we drummed outside to practice, and it is amazing what happens to the sound, because we love drumming in the old town in Hastings, because there are narrow streets, quite tall buildings, or tall streets. Sometimes it's because the houses sort of start a little way up from the road, there are steps up and so forth, and so the sound echoing off the buildings is amazing. On an open beach, the sound just goes completely flat, it just disappears. But it's then good to practice that, so that you're not taken by surprise when we're outside for the first time, if you're used to just practicing in the room above the pub where we normally are. So that is that. So I'm going to be crafting this afternoon, but not machine knitting. I know when to quit eventually. So I'm going to be working on the panel jacket. I'm halfway through a row because I'm classy like that. What I have done is I'm doing the shawl collar. So I've just joined the panels that I need for that, so that I haven't got the whole weight of it as I'm working on it. So this is the shawl collar of the panel jacket, with not many panels on it. But you can get a sense of the colour. So yeah, I'm happy with how that's all coming along. And it looks like I will have, potentially, enough yarn for everything I want to do. Bearing in mind we do already have a contrast in there, so got to stay on brand. I figure there's no point doing panels if you're going to do them all the same colour, because you're going to lose the effect somewhat, I feel. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I will stop wittering for now and put this video together, and may catch up with you later in the week. Cheers. Just to explain another bit of footage at the end of the podcast, when we were talking on the Zoom on Saturday evening, we were talking about what we enjoyed of other people's Zooms, and we were saying it's about the places that we don't get to visit. So whereas traditionally I've always taken footage of kind of countryside and the pretty things, we were saying that actually we quite like to see like the houses and the streets and, for want of a better word, the infrastructure. So there is some footage of that at the end of this from my train journey. Now the thing is with train tracks of courses, they normally have embankments of trees and things by the side, so there's not a huge amount here, but there's a bit. I hope it's of interest. We were moving at a reasonable speed, so if you are a bit sensitive to movement, you may want to avoid the very end of this podcast. Cheers. Hello, lovelies. My hair looks a peculiar colour. It's been very sunny here and very warm. Yes, uncomfortably so. But we'll be complaining when it's too cold, so I'll stop moaning. I have managed to get the knitting machine working for the second half of the Paris sweater, which I actually did in 2 halves. Got a nice seam there. So I have a half and 2 quarters. This, if it doesn't work as a sweater, will be a fabulous wrap, darlings. And maybe I'll make one of those as well. But I have the seam sort of up the middle still to finish, which makes it one long rectangle, and then I've got to work out how the seams go to make it a sweater. So I won't have this finished this week, but hopefully by next week I'll be able to show you the finished article. Now, there were theories shared that because I had made the previous version all in the same yarn, that's why it didn't work. It was off-brand, it was never going to happen. Well, we haven't had that problem this time, because that's what I've got left of my first colour, but plenty of the second. Yes, I could have done it all in that, but where's the fun? And anyway, you know me, I like a multi-toned item. So I've got these 2 shades, very sheer, as you can see. I've got my arm through there, but we'll see. Like I say, if it doesn't work as a sweater, I'll unpick the side seams and have it as a wrap. And you'll see it next week, hopefully. So what have we got coming up this week? Sunday is Pirate Day. I was talking with the lovelies on Knit Night this week, because Pirate Day, or Pirate Weekend, it's largely pointless but fun, and therefore it fits in with our town very well. So we'll be drumming on Sunday. There's a parade, we've got a few drum groups. I think we've got 2 coming in different directions and meeting at a point and then having a drum off and all of that. So that's on Sunday. Hopefully next week I will be meeting one of you lovely peoples. Now don't all be alarmed, this has already been arranged. It's not going to be I'm going to turn up at your house and go, surprise! So we're just finalising a few plans, so hopefully that will happen. And yeah, a bit of work next week. Still not massively busy, still not massively complaining. Certainly has picked up. I mean, I've had no ceremonies this week, although I have had visits and work stuff to do. Given the heat we've had, I am quite relieved that I didn't have to be in like a dress and hosiery and a jacket and look like a professional person. So yeah, a bit more work coming in. That's probably about it actually for this week. Yep, that'll do. So I hope whatever you're doing, you enjoy, you have fun. I hope you're able to do the things that you love. I hope you have some time for crafting. I hope that you're well and that you're keeping safe and away from this nasty virus. Thanks ever so much. Do please add a comment if you'd like to. I'm up to date now. Yay! So I love to hear from you, as you know, so if you'd like to make a comment, please do so. Have a good week, and I'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.